Debunking so-called Christian Misogynists, Part 3. Okay, in Ephesians 5:22, it is written, "Wives, be submissive to your own husbands as unto the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, just as Christ is the head and Savior of the church, which is his body. But as the church submits to Christ, so also let the wives be to their own husbands in everything." Okay, this is something that a lot of guys who call themselves Christian, but really they're just women haters, this is the one that they like to point out. But what's interesting is the verse above it says, being submissive to one another in the fear of God. That means everyone's being submissive to everyone. And then below it is, husbands, love your wives, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. They always forget to mention that. And in other versions it says, and he died for the church. So if you're married, is your husband willing to be unalived for your sake? And then it says that he may sanctify and cleanse it. And it goes on and on. Now, where it says head, that has been translated. I've heard others speak about that head there does not mean boss. Head does not mean leader. Head does not mean dominator. Head in this case means source, like a head of a river. The head of the river is the source of the river. So the husband being the source for the wife, he's the provider. He's supposed to be the provider in the same way that God is providing to him. He is to be providing for his wife. So that is what that means. And thank God I'm not married. Now it goes on about how a man is supposed to love his wife. And it says, in this way, men ought to love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself, for no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as the Lord cares for the church. For we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. So men are not supposed to be lording it over women, saying, I'm the head, I get to tell you what to do. No, he's supposed to have sacrificial love for his wife and be willing to be unalived for her sake, because as Jesus did for the church.